Red cards to Peter Mahoney and Zander Fagerson are a bit of a talking point at the moment, especially in the length of the bans for these two players. If you're unaware of what transpired with these two players, opening round of the Six Nations 2021, Peter Mahoney against Wales flies into a ruck and ends up making contact with Thomas Francis, gets spotted, and he is duly red carded. Zander Fagerson the following week, also against Wales, also against the prop, this time against Wyn Jones, flies into a ruck and also gets called up and gets red carded. Yeah, but the main point, so it's same offence, but the main talking point seems to be how long did they get banned for? 3 weeks for Peter O'Mahony and 4 weeks for Zander Fagerson, and yet how egregious was the offending? The general consensus seems to be, and I must be one of the few people who didn't think Peter O'Mahony was being an absolute grub and trying to put in a deliberately dangerous shot. I thought he was careless rather than malicious. But I know, again, I'm in the minority of that one, seemingly. He gets 3 weeks for a shot which looked worse than Zander Fagerson's one, which clearly just, to me anyway, looked just, again, careless. People see this one as more malicious, and yet it gets a reduced ban compared to Zander Fagerson one of 4 weeks. Now, from what I've read, the main difference just seems to be the fact that Peter O'Mahony, when he got banned, he essentially admitted his guilt in that it warranted a red card. Whereas Zander Fagerson, he kind of admitted his guilt that he committed a foul play, but he didn't concur that it warranted dismissal. That seems to be the main difference, because it's a 6-week ban reduced to 3 weeks for Peter O'Mahony and 4 weeks for Zander Fagerson. So if you admit your guilt, you get that bit of extra time off. Now, as far as I'm aware, I don't know full history of these guys' disciplinary records, but as far as I'm aware, Zander Fagerson has a better disciplinary record than Peter O'Mahony. I'm pretty sure Peter O'Mahony got red carded this very season for Munster, if I'm not mistaken. Do correct me if I'm wrong. I don't watch enough of the games to keep up with all of them, but yeah, it seems that the admission of guilt has got the ban reduced by an extra week, which seems a bit unfair. I mean, obviously, like the way the criminal justice system works in most countries is the earlier you plead guilty, the more reduction you get on your sentence, the kind of discount you get. So I kind of get that that's a factor, but I would have thought your disciplinary record should also count for something, and if he's got a clean record, it should be at least even. I don't know. It does get a bit murky sometimes with all the bans. I had a look at some other recent ones, and I remember I was thinking we've had this conversation before, and it is like we had this conversation last year, also around the Six Nations, because Mohamed Hawass gets red carded for punching Jamie Ritchie in the face, which is about as egregious as you can get, right? Like, there's no claiming, oh, I didn't mean to do it, when you punch someone in the face. He got 3 weeks, and Manu Tuilangi for England put a high no-arms shot in on George North, and he got 4 weeks. So I'm pretty sure we had this exact same debate last year, 3 weeks versus 4 weeks, one obviously worse than the other, and yet the one which was worse got the reduced ban, which just seems counterintuitive. I'm sure there's more to it on the legal side of things, but at least from a fan's perspective, it kind of reeks of a bit of unfair, right? Similarly, though, Hawass, in his case last year, he punched Ritchie. He admitted that it was a red cardable offence, and he did not contest the fact that it warranted a dismissal. Again, how could you, right? You punch someone in the face. Whereas Tuilangi, kind of like Fagerson in this case, he accepted the foul play, but he didn't accept that it warranted dismissal, and he ended up getting a week longer. That really seems to be a big factor. Also, keep in mind that Tuilangi had a worse record than Hawass in terms of disciplinary stuff, because they noted for Hawass that he was kind of like relatively inexperienced on the international scene, so they kind of gave him a bit of an additional discount for that one. Some other kind of well-known ones, Vaha Mahina at the World Cup, remember that elbow? He got 10 weeks down to 6 because, again, he admitted his guilt. And Joe Mala in the same game as Tuilangi last Six Nations with the old groin grab on Alan Wynne-Jones. He got 12 weeks down to 10, so he got a 2-week reduction in his one. So yeah, it seems they can be a little bit all over the shop. I feel like the communications regarding these bans could probably do with a bit of work. Maybe it's just we don't dig hard enough for it. I'm sure there is some kind of logic there. But as a fan who's not expected to have like a lawyer's understanding of the whole process, it does seem a bit out of place that the worst shot gets less time. I know the admission of guilt has to count for something. Has it ever happened? I can't think of any cases where they've argued that it didn't warrant dismissal and then they've got off from it. I've certainly seen cases where they've been red carded and it's been rescinded and they've been not banned. But has there ever been any times where they've admitted foul play but not that it warranted a red card? I'm sure there is. If you can think of anyone that happened to, let us know. But if you're just going to get banned longer for not admitting it, it seems logical that you just admit it and be done with it, even if you don't believe it, right? I don't know. You guys let me know your thoughts. Do you think Zander Fagerson's been hard done by here? I do feel sorry for him because I think both of these guys were a bit silly to do what they did. Flying into a ruck like the way they did is just too high risk for me. I don't know if it was intentional from either of them. I know the general consensus is that he was being dirty and he was being careless. I think they were both red cards, but that does look kind of a bit wrong. Anyway, you guys let me know your thoughts. Talk to you again soon. See you later.